I will dive in. So again, my name is Sash Vartanian. It's nice to see quite a few familiar faces here. So I work for Lane County. I've been there for about 4.5 years, and I'm the transportation planning supervisor. So I'm here with our city partners, Jon and Doug, to talk about annexation of River Road. So I understand, I apologize, we were here in August. I was not here. I had just come down with COVID right as this meeting was scheduled, unfortunately. So I apologize for not being here. But at that meeting, Jon talked to you about kind of getting your thoughts on annexation. Today we're here to answer any questions about the process. So I'll wait until I've got just a short PowerPoint, so maybe keep it high level, but then we can take questions.
Sorry,
You're good.
we're battling here. This internet has hosed us.
No worries. I'll just keep talking. So I think it's really neat hearing the production and the mixture of people that live in this community. Some of you have been here for decades and some of you for a couple of years. And it kind of speaks to this neighborhood. In general, we've got lots of fertile farmland and farms. We've got lots of houses and neighborhoods, and it's a patchwork. We call it, it really is a patchwork of unannexed and annexed areas. And as the county, we, as the UGB expanded, the urban growth boundary, there are naturally county roads that got included as part of that expansion. So we have a ton of county road miles within the Eugene urban growth boundary. As these roads urbanize, it makes it harder and harder for Lane County, who has over 1,400 miles of roads to manage and maintain, to keep up with the needs. So it's natural that as River Road now has curb and gutter all the way along it, we have an interest in the city annexing the rest of River Road, and then eventually the city taking on jurisdiction. So that's kind of that's where our interest and the city's interests align in this road. So you want to go to the next slide. So what are we talking about today? We are only talking about the road. We're talking about the natural process, well, not natural, the process of bringing the right of way of River Road into the city limits. So, and that's the first step that's required in order to move forward on a jurisdictional transfer. Ownership of the road from the county. And that's a thing that happens both within the urban growth boundary of Eugene and urban growth boundaries of the other 14 cities in Lane County. We have roads in many of them, and as they urbanize and become part of the city limits, we work with our city partners to pass ownership to them. What are we not talking about today? We are not talking about any properties adjacent to the road. There is no, and we are not interested in talking about annexation of other properties or anything about taxes. It's about the road. If anyone's concerned. So why? I think I talked a little bit about the characteristic of the road. So we have counts of our road miles are out of the city limits. We have nature, they are narrow and windy, and we have specific county forces and machinery to maintain those roads. When we get within the urban areas, it gets a lot harder for us. We don't have the crews that the city has to maintain things like the stormwater infrastructure. Also, service delivery. Because of the patchwork nature, I bet you have to look, I'm sure there are quite a handful of you who know exactly where the county jurisdiction is on River Road versus the city. But for a lot of folks, they don't. And it causes a lot of confusion about who you call. You call the city, you get past the county, you call the county, you get past the city. Has anyone had that experience? Okay. Even city staff. Where we've done the passing back and forth. So because of the patchwork jurisdiction, it causes confusion, and we're hoping that by annexing and then passing jurisdiction to the city, that will streamline and create less confusion for people. And again, as I mentioned, this is the standard practice of how things are meant to be when an urban growth boundary expands and has county roads in it and becomes urbanized. We want to pass the road ownership over to the city. So what are we talking about exactly? Because I didn't really talk about that, but those of you who know exactly where the River Road jurisdiction is, so right now, River Road is unannexed, starting just past Wedgwood up to Beacon Drive. And so that's the section of River Road we're talking about. And then next slide. There is a very small section on Irvington Drive. It's so small that we figured we might as well include it in this annexation process because it's the little gap in Irvington Drive. So what is the process moving forward? So this is the second meeting we've been to here. The city is ready to send mailers out to make sure folks who aren't here get an opportunity to be informed of the process. Then a planning application goes to the City of Eugene. It is a city council decision, and I would pass the details of that on to Jon or Deb, but the city has to make the formal decision to count it. So the city submits the application and then it goes to the city council as part of the public process. And then annexation is approved. And we're talking probably an 8-month process from here to there because there's the processing of the application and then it takes a while to get through planning department to city council. And then after that, we would work on jurisdictional transfer and details about that. So next slide, please. I didn't want to leave without some fun little future projects to tell you about. As you know, a really great example of a City of Eugene and county partnership is over on Beaver Hunsaker. So the county completed the other summer the multi-use path that goes along Beaver Street and set up a crossing across the road. And we worked with the city to share funding that came into the Metropolitan Planning Organization to work on finalizing the design of the design concept. I know a lot of folks in this neighborhood participated in, and hopefully moving towards construction in about 2025. Also, a very soon project coming up is we're working on our very first, as a county, traffic calming pilot program in the City of Eugene. And we're planning on putting speed cushions on Spring Creek Drive coming this summer. We heard a lot of feedback from the school population out there and the neighbors feeling like there's a lot of speeding in that area. And we've heard a lot of need around this community. So we're excited to launch the first pilot and see how it goes. It'll be very similar if you're familiar with City of Eugene traffic calming program. So that's coming up. And then in several years, we have funding to start planning for Wolf Drive. So just so you know, just because we have interest in transferring jurisdiction of River Road to the city, we are working hard in this area and have a lot of upcoming projects. So I think I just have my contact information and Jon's contact information. We're ready for any questions.
Wow.
Quick question. So you have a calming project, you have some stuff on the wheels. When you're going to go and do some urbanization, or what are you in that? Are you going to do a full build out? Are you going to do gutters and drainage, bike path, some kind of access along there, and as well as Spring Creek, the school, to connect that corridor down there so people can get off the road? Is that?
Those are great questions. So Wilkes, that's part of the planning process, is determine what will meet city standards as well as meet the community's desire out there. So it's not set in stone what that is, but it will likely mean, they have the site like that, and they sense to look at sidewalks. It's really all on the table at this point. Spring Creek, right now is just focused on speed cushions, but I do believe City of Eugene does also have a small grant to look at specifically the intersection between River Road and Spring Creek and look at maybe a.
If you do transfer, the agencies don't have funding or people to maintain that to, you know, so of course you get the magic bill and say, hey, print some more money and let's go do this, right? Is it a different cost share where now you get extra road miles from the state or XYZ or?
Well, what's kind of interesting is the City of Eugene does get what we refer to as road funds. I think the county refers to them as road funds also. Gary probably knows more about road funds than I do. We should ask Gary. But road fund is basically state gas tax. Okay, so the state of Oregon gives counties and cities money, and we call it road fund. And there's limitations to what we can use it for, and we use it for different things. This is a complicated question, right? This jurisdictional transfer, the idea is to have all the urbanized streets within the urban growth boundary owned by the city. And it's actually the county that cares more about this than the city does, because like Sasha said, they're more geared up to maintaining, county roads that go from Eugene to Bonita, right? Or from Eugene to Coburg, but not really to maintain the urbanized roads. And the city's really geared up to maintain the urbanized roads. Now, nobody's getting more money or losing money because of this stretch of road, and it doesn't make that much of a difference in the big scheme of things. What actually happens right now, if you're talking about day-to-day maintenance, okay, if we're talking about street sweeping, let's talk about street sweeping. Right? We've actually got an intergovernmental agreement with the county so that we don't have to send our street sweepers out and sweep this 4 blocks of River Road, and then the county sends their street sweepers out to sweep this 4 blocks of River Road. We've got a line, the city sweeps all of River Road this way, and the county sweeps all of River Road that way. So it's actually not going to change day-to-day maintenance today. But what this really does is brings that section of River Road into city ownership, and then long-term, as it needs pavement replacement, or if there's a, say there's a blockage in the stormwater system in a flooding situation, then the City of Eugene is going to get the call, and we're going to send our staff out there in the middle of the night and solve the problem. And the county staff is further away and they have different equipment. Does that make sense? So it's not about day-to-day street sweeping and day-to-day maintenance. It's really about long-term ownership and maintenance and repair over time. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I know this is kind of a complicated question. This jurisdictional transfer, the word annexation is like a 4-letter word. It's like 3 4-letter words, right? If you count the number of letters, I don't know what it is, right? But really, this is a pretty common practice among public agencies. We're actually working with Lane County on jurisdictional transfers of part of Gillum Road right now also, right? If you drive out Gillum Road, it's even worse than River Road. There's a section that's city owned, and then a section that's county owned, and then another section that's city owned. And the neighbors out there, they don't know who to call when they have a problem. So we're working on projects to improve Gillum Road, and we're working on also annexing and doing jurisdictional transfers on Gillum Road. Not that long ago, all of Highway 99 through Eugene, or most of it, used to be owned by ODOT, right? 6th and 7th used to be owned by ODOT. And then the city owned a little piece of River Road, and then, all the way out to Beltline used to be owned by ODOT. So if there was a problem on 6th and 7th, you'd pick up the phone, call the city, and we'd say, hey, here's ODOT's number, right? Call ODOT, right? Do we want to have to wait for ODOT to come do something on 6th and 7th if we have a problem? No. So several years ago, there was a deal made between ODOT and the City of Eugene, and ODOT did a bunch of projects. They actually gave the city money to improve parts of 6th and 7th, and now the City of Eugene owns all of 6th, 7th, Highway 99, all the way from Springfield to the Willamette River, all the way to Beltline. The city now owns all that, and if there's a problem, we have the resources and we can go maintain it. So this is actually a fairly common process. It's nothing that's really that unusual. Does that make sense?
So, in a nutshell, if this has nothing to do with properties, just about the roads, it really doesn't affect us.
The only thing that would, I don't see any new accesses on River Road, but right now where we have jurisdiction of River Road, you have to go through us if you want to essentially put in a driveway. You know, all of the permitting that goes on has to go through the county, so it's an extra step. Even like if you want to build something on your property, you deal with the City of Eugene. But if you want to access the county road, then you have to deal with the county. So this would simplify things like that.
Yeah, I live right on
Right.
the river.
Right.
Okay.
Tim Felker?
It seems to me, can everybody hear me okay? I'm remote. It seems to me, and I'm not sure the details, but way back when, folks are really concerned about the city sort of annexing and lassoing areas that contained county properties. And the thought was that they were trying to capture those properties for ease of future annexation. Does anyone know any of the details about what those rules are now? Did you understand my question?
Yeah, I've heard those concerns before, for sure. And my understanding is that council has taken a pretty public stance that there would be no forced annexations of anybody's private property. You know, just like what Sasha and Doug were discussing just a moment ago, this is really just about the road. It's to provide more continuity and services and an infrastructure. But city council has gone on record, and I can't give you a specific reference point, but it is there, that forced annexation is not something that is a goal of the city or council. And it just doesn't seem to be the benefit of anybody for community of Santa Clara or for the rest of the city of Eugene.
And that is what we've heard consistently. I just wanted to make sure we heard it one more time. So,
My pleasure. Tim.
So one
Thanks.
thing it
I
does
appreciate
do is that people who want to voluntarily annex have to be contiguous to city property. So it allows people who live along that section of River Road, should they voluntarily want to annex, they could conceivably do so.
That's true.
And the other thing that it does for our community is that when there are people who are experiencing a mental health crisis in the road right of way, if you're on the county road right of way, we don't have cahoots. The county and cahoots do not partner to provide a service in our community, but the city and cahoots do. So practice has been trying to help that person get to where they're and then call cahoots, which is very inconvenient for the people who are really trying to help those people get help. So this could conceivably provide some relief for people who desperately need services that they can't access along the county right away.
I think that's a great point, Kate.
FYI. Any other questions? No comments? Yeah, Joyce.
What was the little piece that you said was this side, Irvington?
Irvington Drive.
Irvington.
Yep.
It's like in front of Sunlight.
Yeah, well, this is the other
Yeah, over there.
crossroads.
Opposite Dairy Mart.
Yeah, so, yeah.
It's Will's on,
Well, Wilkes is on the east
east
side.
side, and Irvington is on the west.
It's in front of Dairy Mart.
Yes, it's right.
Joel?
I mean, just to clarify, the entire rest of Irvington is under city jurisdiction and maintained by the city. So it's just that last piece.
That's it.
That's just that last piece.
I've been able to get answers to questions all here. I live in the county within the road bounds on Irvington. If I sell my property, does it automatically go to the city?
No,
It stays in the county,
stays in.
but if I buy my property, it goes to the city.
that would be a land.
I'm not
use
sure.
Application.
Yeah.
Probably, I'm not a land use planner, but
Okay.
if you email me, I can send you
Okay,
a
great,
question.
thank you. Just curious.
Any other questions on the River Road right of way for Sasha, Jon Patrick, and
Right.
Doug? Thank you. All right,
Thank you so much for your time.
thanks for coming. We appreciate your help.
Thank you.
When will that process be complete?
The annexation will be in 16 months, and then we have to work through the details of the jurisdictional transfer, which should probably be another 6 months. But maybe less, hopefully less.